I'll be talking about my startup, which is basically based in Ethiopia, called Waymaps and Analytics. Um, the reason that I got this idea is that back starting from 2017, I used to work for GIS consultancies and other consultancies on helping companies optimize their distribution plans and their fleet, especially beer and water companies in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, have a large fleet to distribute their products directly to outlets. For example, if you could see this map on the right, in this presentation, you'd see different polygons representing different catchment areas for distributors. For example, if a person is assigned a specific fleet is assigned to distribute its items to the points that you see, which are basically outlets, it will only cover this geographic area. But the problem is such design and organizing your fleet using PDF maps or hard copy maps. It's not easy. So I had this idea. I was like, why shouldn't I try to develop my own route planning application systems and APIs? And one may ask, why not purchase it from a foreign country or from from a company abroad? The situation in Ethiopia is a bit different from compared to other countries because one, we don't have a simple electronic system to buy APIs here. For example, we don't have debit cards that can work to pay Google Maps, for example. So it's a bit difficult. Plus, if you're a startup, let's say if you're a ride-hailing startup, the costs of you using Google Maps or Google routing APIs are very expensive. So the market is only limited to small companies with large capital. So if you could see the current market scene in the ride-hailing market in Ethiopia, it's it's highly monopolized by small companies which have money to spend on overheads. So why not use open source stuff to build your own companies, like Lyft did in America, for example. So I'm just explaining different market opportunities in the GIS sector in Ethiopia, and so other companies have followed suit. I'm talking about a business model which has been tried in different countries. For example, there's a company called Optimo Route in America, which uses Mapbox, which is a relatively cheaper mapping solution to design and deliver a route planning application, which is turning out to be a very good solution for large and small companies with large and small fleets alike. And I believe that my startup also has can be scalable because we can expand into location intelligence. If you're a supermarket chain, where should your supermarket open its next outlet? And there's also a large opportunity for geocoding. It might be different for different African cities, but here in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, we're just starting to get into geocoding. A lot of houses don't have a specific geocoding marker, and then because of that, no distribution company uses a specific geocoding address to deliver its products. But why not? Why not map that? And this is basically a demonstration of the product we're working on. You could see every library and platform that we have used here is open source, and you could easily search outlets. These are basically outlets that you don't find in Google Maps because sometimes Google Maps skips, very small outlets, very small kiosks, bars and restaurants, and then you could just basically design a system like this, which a user can share to his rider. So I try to keep it short. This is all I have about wave maps and analytics. I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But we don't know if anyone has a question regards this presentation.
Yeah.
Please drop it in the chat box.
Okay. So does anybody have interesting questions, ideas?
Okay. Okay. We have a question. Okay.
Yes. Should I answer the questions in audio format, right? Not I shouldn't type my answers, or should I type my answers?
Audio formats would be preferable. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So yes, I use OSM in my stack because OSM is open source and it's free, and you could easily update your data using JOSM, which I hope that you're aware of. There are so many construction projects that are going on in the city that I'm living in. Sometimes it's very difficult for Google Maps to catch up because it's also based on contributors, right? Data updating is based on contributors. So why not update data faster than any other, proprietary mapping application, so that you could have some sort of competitive advantage over large companies in a very small geographic area like Addis Ababa, which is a capital city of Ethiopia. So if there are, so that's why I use OSM in my stack. Plus, it's a very, very versatile and powerful open source tool. Yeah.
Thank you very much. If you have any other question, please drop it in the chat box. Okay. Emmanuel said, you mentioned that you don't use credit card. Where do you host your projects?
So right now, so the situation in Ethiopia right now is that your bank accounts cannot be connected to at the present moment. This might change in the near future, but right now, if you have a bank account, if you have a debit card, it cannot be connected to an international payment system like gateway, like Visa or MasterCard. So it's very difficult to conduct international business transactions. For example, buying a Google Maps API might be very, very difficult for you. But there are other alternatives. There are local vendors, for example, who sell servers using the local currency, and you can host your projects there. Even though they might be a bit expensive, you're still going to get the service. Plus, a lot of African companies are eyeing Ethiopia to come in and invest. For example, Oracle provides a 1-year free server service for startups in Africa. You could utilize these opportunities and host your projects there as well. And then once your business starts to take off, you'll start to find other local vendors who provide you with other technical services. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. The other question is, how do you pay for PaaS and SaaS platforms?
Yes, for right now, we've tried to avoid such payments as much as possible by just sticking to open source libraries. So far, the application, the fleet manager that we've developed is completely based on everything is based on open source material. So we're just using PostGIS, we're just using OSRM, we're just using OpenStreetMaps. So all these libraries, we're just using Youdahe. All these libraries are open source and free. So you don't have to pay for this pay for this platforms. That's the whole rationale behind the business model, is to make a product based on open source tech that can be very cheap and affordable, yet very powerful and competitive. And then something that you could scale to other geographic areas, maybe other neighboring African countries. So that's how we approached this idea, this question. Yeah.
I think I have a question for you, Tsehaye. I think while you were talking, you mentioned about like construction going on in your.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
wanted, I would like to know, like, what other business use cases do you think that kind of platform would be, useful for?
Yeah. So let's say you provide provide your beer product to, let's say, 600 restaurants in Addis Ababa. Yeah. So you have your own fleet, maybe 100 and 200 or 200 trucks, and you use Mapbox to integrate a mapping solution to your whatever system you're using. And so Mapbox might be falling behind in terms of updating which road is under construction, which road is not, which road is being updated, which road is. Basically, Mapbox uses OpenStreetMaps like our startup, yes. So they don't really invest in the geographic area that we are working on, because they don't have a lot of clients here compared to clients in North America, for example. So they don't really invest in updating their maps here. So, but if you're a driver and if you're given a route to deliver your products, and if the route that's given to you is inaccurate because the road that you're supposed to pass through is under construction, you have to change your routes, right? So these are the problems that I've seen during my consultancy days, when drivers were using routes designed for us by us to them. They were saying, "Oh, this road it's closed. There's a national holiday today. There's a festivity today. This road is under construction." So companies which operate on a global scale sometimes fall behind to address local, changes. So that's what I've observed. And if you're a local startup, why not, tackle this problem and try to create a niche market for yourself? So that's one thing that I've noticed. And hopefully, when this large company started to get into the African markets, they can maybe buy our startup or work with us, because we have already provided local solutions to local problems. So that's also how our business model is geared.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think I have one more question. Sure. Just to ask, like, if your geographic area coverage is small, is it just limited to Addis Ababa?
Currently, yes, but and for it is because of for logistical as well as economic reasons. The country's 30% of the country's GDP is concentrated in the capital city, so a lot of business is going on here, and you find a lot of businesses here. Like, you'd find so many distribution companies who don't use GIS or who don't use fleet management, who are just using traditional Excel file or whatever to organize their fleet. And that's a huge market one. Plus, Ethiopia is also a very big country, and it's almost the size of Texas. So it's difficult for a startup to, broaden its services to different cities and towns, especially at the stage we're in right now.
Yeah. So the question actually is, do you put any effort into validating like your data set? Do you send people do you have field field workers that maybe good on site to validate some of this data?
Yes. We have data collectors, but we have also started using other open source tools. I'm sure you are aware about Mapillary, for example. So Mapillary has huge sets of data in it that you could use to validate your data points and use machine learning to extract a lot of information from. So if you could do that, you could basically mine. If you could basically mine big amount of data, you could end up with a database that could be marketable and useful for businesses as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tsehaye.
That's very great. I believe there's so much power in open source platforms, and there's a need for people to integrate into it very fast and make best use of it to provide solutions for various problems. Thank you very much.